When it was dark, he disguised himself as an elderly woman and knocked at the door of the three girls' home. 还清楚吗？
可是你来才。
Who is it? Called Felice. Felice, Maylene, Janine, my treasures, it is your Grammy, replied the wolf as sweetly as possible. Grammy, said Felice to the door. Mommy just went to see you. Oh, we must have taken different roads. It is too bad I missed her, replied the crafty wolf. Lord, Grammy caught hold of his horse. Please, let me in, for it is drafty out here and the night air is bad for me. The tender-hearted girls could not bear to keep their grandmother out in the cold. So they unlatched the door and shouted, Grammy, Grammy. As soon as the wolf crossed the threshold, he blew out the candle, saying the light hurt his eyes.
It was a beautiful spring day. The birds were singing. The grass was as green as could be. I, Cornelius Wolf, was going for a peaceful stroll along the path that led past my den. I make it a habit to do so, especially since I have steadily been gaining weight in my old age. So along I walked, enjoying the fresh air and peaceful woodland sounds. Suddenly I heard something extremely strange. I heard the voice of a girl singing. I must admit that I was intrigued. Since I had never met a human before, I simply had to go and investigate. I followed the voice until I came into a clearing through which the little girl was walking. She was quite young, probably only 8 or 9 years old. She was wearing a little satin dress, which was covered by a red hooded cloak. She was also carrying a basket that smelled of delicious baked goods. Slowly, I walked up to her and introduced myself. Hello, little girl. If you would excuse me, I really must introduce myself. My name is Cornelius Wolf. I was passing through this area on a stroll, and when I heard you singing, I was intrigued. I sincerely hope that you do not think me rude, but I was not aware that there were any little girls in these woods. I really think that I had taken her quite by surprise. She did not say anything for a full 30 seconds, but simply stood staring at me with her mouth hanging open. Remembering that a human was a rare thing in this area, I excused this moment of rudeness. Finally, she overcame her shock and responded to my salutation. Her response, however, was certainly less than neighborly.
Get away from me, you big dumb animal!
She screamed in a shrill voice that turned every eye in the woods towards us. I slowly looked around, thoroughly embarrassed. Determined not to let her win, I softly returned, I was simply trying to be friendly. You are, of course, welcome to go on your way. But before you go, could you please be so kind as to tell me where it is that you are going? Reluctantly, she told me that she was going to her grandmother's house to bring her some food to help her through her illness. Excited by the thought of actually meeting another human being, I offered to go with her. When I put the question to her, it seemed as if I would get an instant refusal. At the last moment, however, I saw a vicious little light appear in her eyes.
Well, sir,
She said sweetly.
it's a long trip, but you're more than welcome to join.
Convinced that she had had a change of heart, I immediately accepted, and so we left. The trip to grandmother's house was quite long indeed. As a matter of fact, we soon came to a part of the woods I had never seen before. The girl's conduct was vastly improved from our first meeting. As soon as we were on the way, she introduced herself as Red Riding Hood. As we walked, she chattered unhappily about one thing and another. The blue sky, the green grass, the fresh air. She also apologized for her rude conduct earlier, saying that she was simply frightened.
But we're friends now, aren't we, Mr. Wolf?
She said sweetly. I heartily agreed. Delighted to be in when she thought that I wasn't looking, however, that vicious look kept returning to her eyes. Puzzled, I assumed that it was nothing. After what seemed like a lifetime of walking, we came to a patch of berries. As soon as they came into sight, my companion uttered a cry of dismay.
Oh no!
She exclaimed,
How I would love to pick these berries for my grandmother, but I can't hold them with this basket in my hands.
only too glad to help, I offered my assistance. The girl readily accepted my offer and stood aside as I moved up to the bush, picked 20 or 30 bushes, but when I turned around to hand them to my companion, she was gone. I stood bewildered for about 5 minutes. Why would she leave me here? I had no idea where I was or how to get home. Finally, I convinced myself that the girl had to leave, and for that reason, she could not tell me. Why? I simply do not know. The idea that the human might betray me was completely unacceptable. The problem remained, however. I did not know how to find my way home. I certainly could not stay there all day, so I decided to try and find my way. I walked for what seemed like an eternity, but I did not see anything familiar. Finally, I came upon the semblance of a path. I followed it until I came into a clearing. In the center of it was a cottage. Thinking I could ask for help, I knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Answered a feeble, quivering voice from within the house. I politely answered, "Hello, my name is Cornelius Wolf. I was wondering if you could help me find my way home."
Come in, young man, answered the voice. What shall I do with my shawl?
Throw it in the fire, dear one. You won't need it again.
She bundled up her shawl and threw it into the blaze. It instantly consumed it. Then she drew her blouse. Her small breasts gleamed as if snow had invaded the room.
And what shall I do with my blouse?
Into the fire with it too. You won't need it.
The thin muslin went flaring up the chimney like a magic bird. And now came off her skirt, her woolen stockings, her shoes, and into the fire they went too. They were gone for good. The firelight shone through the edges of her skin. Now she was clothed only in her untouched integument of flesh. Thus dazzled, she naked combed her hair through her fingers. Her hair looked white as snow outside. They went directly to the man with the red eyes. His upkept mane and lice moved. She stood on her tiptoes and unbuttoned his collar of his shirt.
My, what big arms you have.
All the better to hug you with, my dear.
Every wolf in the world now had howled of the plowman outside the window, and she felt she gave him the kiss she owed him.
What sharp teeth you have.
She saw his jaw to slaughter, and the room with full clamor before it, Slide stood. But the child never flinched, even when he answered.
All the better to eat you with.
The girl burst out laughing, when she knew she was nobody's meat. She laughed at him full in the face. She ripped off his shirt and flung it into the fire. The fire lake of her own discarded clothing. The flames danced like dead souls on Walper's notch, and the old bones under the bed set up a terrible clattering. But she did not pay them any